Hello guys, welcome to another video. In this video, we'll be talking about efficient dungeon runs. In a party of 4 members, it's always nice if at least one of the member brings some party buffs in the dungeon runs. If one or two skills are there to buff the party by one member or two member, the speed of dungeon runs will be immensely high. So when we think about party buffs, the first thing that comes to our mind is the Crusader banner, because of course it provides critical hit damage, 100% chance. The second thing apart from Crusader is the monks in a sanctuary. These two are very good to provide buffs in dungeon. But apart from these two, as a barbarian, you can also bring some really invaluable party buffs in a dungeon run, which will greatly increase the speed of the dungeon. So in this video, I'll be discussing the dungeon runs build that I've been using as a barbarian. So this is the build that I've been using for the dungeons. To keep in mind, for a dungeon run to be efficient, it is important that all the 4 members stick together, stick as close as possible. So of course, the first thing, the reason being is that you want to utilize the mastermind tree, because if you are close to your party member, you will get buff, increased critical hit damage and skill damage, critical hit chance and skill damage. Going to the build, the most important party buff or the support skill that you can bring as a barbarian is the sprint, the swift wing. In the With this, the sprint now increases the movement speed of all nearby allies. The runs which there are some dungeons in which you have to run a long way, like the rapids, the POA, and the destruction ends. There are so many dungeons where you have to run a long way, and if you bring this sprint, you see it has a big area. So if you bring this sprint, all the party members will be able to run as fast as you. This is a huge buff, and really, whenever I see a barb and I see that they are using this buff, I know this is going to be a quick run. Firstly is that. Secondly, in my build, you can see that I'm using 4-piece V2s. So whenever you are using sprint, not only you are increasing the movement speed, you are also increasing the attack speed, because you are applying sprint as well as the V2's buff to your party members. So even if you are not, if you don't have to walk or run a lot, you should always keep using your sprint, because that will increase the speed of attacks of all your party member. With high speed means higher damage. Secondly, now this one is what most people I've seen they do not use, and which I personally find it really good, is demoralize. Demoralize is replaced with a war cry and increases all damage you and your party do by 25%. Wait, it's not showing here. I'll show it in the skill tree here. 25% for 6 seconds, and if you have V2s, this will also, the duration will increase. And also with this demoralize head, I'm also using this offhand, which in which the duration of demoralize is increased. I think this is a really good buff, because say for monks in a sanctuary, the location of the buff is very limited, but with demoralize, you can the location is actually once you apply the demoralize to your party, they can move around freely, and the demoralize, buff will be more the buff will be applied to them throughout the duration of demoralize. I think this is a very good buff which you can provide to your entire team. I think, I'm not sure, I have not tested. If you have a charm with demoralize, maybe say 4%, I think this 25% might even go by 29. I have not tested it. If someone has, please let me know in the comments. So we have talked about the headgear, the leg gear, and the offhand. The last one, which is important, is Whirlwinds now shreds armor. So, and this can stack up to 5 times, which means by 10%. If you use Whirlwind, the enemy will take 10% more damage. This applies even to bosses, which is huge. So, with Demoralize, Once you apply demoralize, you are increasing 25% damage to everyone, and immediately after you are using whirlwind, because your Vithus will be activated, so you will be able to stack it up to 5 times very quickly, and thus the enemy will take 25% more damage from demoralize and 10% from the reduced armor. So I think all the out of the 4 skills, 3 skills will actually buff your party constantly, with the sprint, the armor reduction, and the demoralize. For the fourth one, you can either use Hammer of the Ancient or you can use Furious Charge. That's up to you. With the main hand, I have chosen the Whirlwind, which draws the power of wind, because a lot of class use the fire ability, like Demon Hunter. They have fire multi shot. Even there might be another Barb in the party who is using the Wrath of the Berserker and the Flame. So if the enemy is burned, this the damage from this will be 1.5 times, plus you have the demoralize. The damage from whirlwind will be 1.5 times because of the fire crit, and you have the demoralize. Also, if note that if you use demoralize and to increase the damage, this will actually stack with the banner, because 25% is damage and the banner gives a critical hit chance 200%, so increases the damage by a lot. So do not think that if there is a banner, the demoralize effect will not be there. Demoralize will actually complement banner a lot. So this is the build that I've been using, and of course you have to use the mastermind tree to efficiently use it. And of course the 4 piece V2s, the constantly with the demoralize and the sprint, the V2s is applied to entire party, and this in this way you are buffing the party in 4 ways constantly, and I think the speed of dungeon run is really good. So let me know if you try this build, how about the about your thoughts about on this build if you try it. I personally am having a good time with this build. Not going with DPS builds, because a lot of people actually run DPS in the dungeons. So at least one support build is really nice to have in the entire group, especially the sprint. I love this. Okay, that's all for this one. See you in the next one. Consider subscribing if you like the content. Bye.